All right, thank you so much for joining me in this lecture. This is Gurpal Singh from Gursur Education. As you all know that we have started the series now for the lectures regarding managerial economics. And for that series, we have gone through from number of lectures as well. I have taught you regarding theories of firms, and after that, I have taught you regarding demand and its law. After that, we have studied regarding the different concepts covered under elasticity of demand and different methods of finding elasticity of demand. After that, we have already covered the revenue concept as well, in which we have taught you regarding total revenue, then average and marginal revenue, and the relationship between these three things. And now, moving with this all system, now the next topic is going to be cardinal utility analysis. Now, we shall talk about the utility analysis. I shall tell you what is utility, what does it mean from the consumer point of view, and what is its relevance in business managerial economics. So in utility, we shall be talking about the meaning of utility. Then I shall teach you regarding total utility, then marginal utility. After that, there are two basic laws covered under the concept of a utility analysis. That is going to be law of diminishing marginal utility and law of equimarginal utility. So these all the things we are going to cover in this specific lecture, and I hope you would have got the idea of what is going to be there for you. And I must tell you, this is very important, and there is very interesting as well. So as all the lectures I have already delivered you, all you have attempted, all you have attended with a very great enthusiasm, and I believe that you are a very regular student of mine. So just going to share the screen with you and making you all see what we have prepared for you in this specific lecture. Uh, All right, so now I think that you will be able to see what we have prepared for you. And in this lecture, we are going to talk about a cardinal utility approach or utility analysis. Two different things we are going to study in this specific lecture. And in total, I shall answer you 4 questions which are very important from exam point of view. The first one is about total utility, and the second one is about marginal utility. Then thirdly, I shall tell you about what is the law of diminishing marginal utility. And finally, we shall be talking about the law of equimarginal utility. Okay, so these are very important to understand and go through. And I must tell you, as I have already stressed on the phrase that this specific subject is very important and very high scoring, because each and every topic being taught in this specific lecture is very conceptual, and moreover, these are very interesting to understand. So today in this lecture, we shall be talking about utility. First of all, I shall tell you about utility, and then one by one we shall try to answer all the questions so that you can comprehend this complete topic very easily. So when we talk about utility, suppose you are eating something. Okay, you are eating apples. Okay, pieces of apples. You have cut some apples, and then you are eating some pieces of that. You ate one piece, then you felt extremely satisfied. You ate second one, then your satisfaction was somewhat lower. Then you ate third one, then fourth one, then fifth one, and then sixth one. And there is always a point at which you feel that it's much more than enough that what I have eaten just now. Okay, like maybe after one or two apples you feel that it's sufficient now, and now I should not eat further. I should not eat further. Okay, so when you eat each and every piece or slice of the apple, you get a kind of a satisfaction. your body, your stomach get a kind of satisfaction, and that satisfaction is known as utility. Okay, that is known as utility. So utility is just the want satisfying power of a commodity. So what is utility? Utility is just want satisfying power of a commodity. So this is very easy to understand. Professor Hobson has told that utility is the ability of a good to satisfy a want. You need something, you get it. When you get it, you just consume in a way that your satisfaction is at the extreme level, at the level from which you do not want to consume further. Okay, so this is known as a satisfaction or level of satiety. Okay, so this is known as level of satiety or satisfaction level, and the utility is simply the want satisfying power of a commodity. So, as I have told you that after telling you the meaning, we shall be answering some specific questions like total utility, then marginal utility. So, I am just going to talk about these right now. So, what is total utility? I have already explained you that after eating one slice you get satisfaction, then from second slide you get satisfaction, from third, fourth, fifth, and so on, till you feel that it's enough for me, till you feel that it's enough for me and I should not eat further. So the total satisfaction you get from consuming all those slices is known as total utility. Okay, so this is total utility. So total utility refers to total satisfaction obtained from consumption of all possible units of a commodity. Okay, I hope you would have understood this by now. So you are eating first unit, second unit, then third unit, fourth unit, and there is always a time when you feel that it's enough for me and I should not eat further. So whatever the satisfaction you get from eating all those units, that satisfaction is known as total utility, and this is all about that. I must tell you how this is calculated. So this is unit 1 means slice 1, this is unit 2, the unit 3, and so on till unit n, and it can be anything. You can be satisfied with only 2 slices, maybe you are satisfied by 10 slices, with 15 slices, or 20 slices. So this is total utility. TU stands for total utility, and U1, U2, U3, or UN stands for the different units of the commodity. So that is all about total utility. Okay, so now we move further. This is regarding marginal utility. Okay, so now I'm again giving you example. In the first slice, by consuming first slice, you suppose you get a utility which you can describe in number that I am 80%. I am at the level of 80 now. Okay, I am at the level of satisfaction level of 80 now. Then by consuming the additional unit, whatever the additional utility you get. Okay, so maybe at the second you get the total utility of 120. Okay, then the difference between first and second is 40. This is known as marginal utility. So marginal utility is the additional utility to derive you derive from consumption of one more unit. Okay, so you have eaten one unit, you get some satisfaction, then you eat second unit, you get some satisfaction. So the total satisfaction, when you reduce from the total satisfaction the satisfaction of the second unit, this is known as marginal utility. So this is just additional unity which you derive from consumption of one more unit. So it can be described as like this. MUN stands for marginal utility by consuming n number of units. This is total utility minus total utility minus 1. So total utility minus 1 is total utility from n minus 1 unit. So like you have eaten, suppose 12 units. Okay, so how you shall calculate the utility from 12 units minus the utility till 11th unit. So when you reduce these kind of utilities, then you get the marginal utility. So this is just the additional utility you get after consuming one more unit. So how to find that? There are number of ways to find marginal utility. This is change in total utility divided by change in a number of units. Okay, and it is said, and it can be mathematically proven as well, that the total utility is a sum of all the marginal utilities. Okay, so this is marginal utility from first unit, this is from second, this is from third, and so on. And when you sum all these marginal utilities, you can easily get the total utility. And this is the relationship between TU and MU. TU stands for total utility and MU stands for marginal utility. So now just moving further, giving you example of that. Suppose you have eaten an ice cream, you have consumed that, you have consumed its units, like first ice cream, then second, then third, then fourth, then fifth, then sixth. Okay, and from consuming that, you are getting utility like that. With the first one, your total utility is 20. By consuming second one, your total utility is 36. Okay, then with the third one, your total utility comes to be 46. With the fourth one, your total utility comes to be 50. Okay, so in this way, your total utility is increasing. So what is marginal utility? This is just that was just as the definition we have understood. This is just the difference of the total utility and the utility obtained from the previous units. So when we reduce the total utility by consuming the 2 units and the total utility of the previous unit, that was 20. When we find the difference of these two, this is known as the marginal utility of the second element. So when we reduce total utility of 3 units and the total utility from 2 units, when we find their difference, then we get 10, and this is the marginal utility of the third unit. So in this way, by just making the difference of the current total utility with all previous total utilities, you can easily find the marginal utility. Now you can see that as you are consuming more and more, the total utility is increasing. The total utility is increasing, but that is increasing at a decreasing rate. Okay, so just remember this line in your mind, and we shall be talking about that further. So okay, so here we shall talk about that. So as you were consuming more and more, okay, so in this picture here are given 2 diagrams. Actually, the first diagram is O and X axis, and it contains the information regarding marginal utility of ice cream on the Y axis, and the above diagram is containing total utility of ice cream at OY axis. And in OX axis there are only units of ice cream and units of ice cream, and these have been written like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is all about that. I hope you have got the description of the diagram. So as you are eating more and more, okay, as you are eating more and more, your total utility is rising. So this is said that as you are consuming more and more, total utility is rising, but at a decreasing rate. Okay, but at a specific point, at 5th point, the total utility is not increasing. Okay, so that becomes a stagnant. That becomes stagnant. So this is the level at which the total utility is not increasing, and in this case your marginal utility is 0. The only reason is the total utility of the current items minus total utility of the all previous items comes to be 0. This is the reason why this is 0. Okay, So at that point where the total utility becomes stagnant, the marginal utility becomes zero, and this is known as the maximum total utility point. So it is said the total utility is maximum at the point where marginal utility is equal to zero. So it is said that. I hope you would have understood this. So you can see that marginal utility is zero and the total utility is maximum. And after this point, you can feel that when you are eating more and more, your total utility is decreasing and your stomach gets disturbed, and marginal utility is in minus. Okay, so the total utility starts decreasing and your marginal utility starts becoming negative. So this is the complete picture you have to create in your mind if the question is asked in the examination. Okay, so this chapter tells you the relationship between total utility and marginal utility in detail, and only this description or this diagram would suffice to explain each and everything regarding the relationship between these two. So it's just the facts regarding the relationship between these two. This is units of ice creams have been written in OX axis, and marginal utility and total utility have been written on the OY axis. So MU is positive when TU is increasing till the fourth ice cream, and with the fifth ice cream, MU is zero and TU is maximum. So this is the relationship between these two, and that point is known as point of satiety or point of maximum satisfaction. So this is all about that. Okay, at this stage the satisfaction is maximum, and after consuming the sixth item ice cream or onwards, marginal utility is negative and total utility starts diminishing, and this is known as disutility option, and this is the loss of satisfaction when you eat much more. So this is known as the relationship between total utility and marginal utility. So as before starting this lecture, I told you that there will be two relationship. Okay, there will be the total two theories or two laws regarding utility concept, and in total we shall be answering four questions. The question first, question second, I have already answered you. That was regarding total utility and marginal utility. Now we are going to talk about laws which are covered under the concept of utility analysis. There are only two laws. Okay, the first law is law of diminishing marginal utility, and the second is law of equimarginal utility. Now one by one we shall watching what these are all about. So first of all, law of diminishing marginal utility is just tells you that when you consume more and more, like first unit, second unit, third unit, fourth unit, fifth unit, then your marginal utility goes on diminishing. Okay, that goes on declining, goes on diminishing. You can understand from this figure as well. Okay, so in this I have already explained you total utility is a rising, but marginal utility you can see that is a declining. Okay, that is declining. So as far as or as long as you eat more and more, your marginal utility declines. So this is known as law of diminishing marginal utility, and that is all about that. So law of diminishing marginal utility is a law of economics stating that as person increases consumption of a product, there is a decline in marginal utility. Okay, so there is decline in marginal utility, and it is all about that, and nothing difficult to understand. You would have got the complete idea if you have understood this specific picture. Okay, here you can also see in the tabular format, as far as you are eating more and more, you can see marginal utility is diminishing. The only reason is total utility is increasing, but that is increasing at a diminishing rate. So this is why the marginal utility always goes on decreasing as you consume more and more units of a commodity. So Marshall has expressed that additional benefit which a person derives from a given increase in his stock of a thing diminishes with every increase in the stock he already has. So that just means that as you consume more and more, your marginal utility goes on diminishing. So this can also be geometrically explained. Okay, so this is just the extension of a previous thing we have already understood, the previous figure. There are units of a number of rasgullas which have been given at AB axis and marginal utility at AC axis. Okay, so it says that when you consume more and more units of a commodity, your marginal utility goes on diminishing. So with the first unit, you got the marginal utility of 100. With the second, you got marginal utility of 80. With the third, you got the marginal utility of 40. With the fourth one, you got the marginal utility of 20. And with the fifth one, you got no marginal utility, and that was 0. And if you consume more, then your marginal utility goes on negative side. So when you make its curve, then this curve will be known as the marginal utility curve. So it is all about that. So the next one is the equimarginal utility, or the law of equimarginal utility. You would understand this law only if you have understood the law of diminishing marginal utility. Okay. So the law of equimarginal utility has been presented in 19th century by Australian economist H. Gosson. So this law is also known as law of maximum satisfaction, law of substitution, or Gosson's second law. So he just says that everyone, a consumer, has a large number of wants. You need number of things. Okay, it's not only apples or bananas you need. Okay, there are number of other fruits as well you need on daily basis. So a consumer always try to spend his income on different things in a way that marginal utility of all things are equal. So whether you are purchasing apples, you are purchasing bananas, you are purchasing oranges or any kind of fruit, you shall spend your money in a way that you get the equal marginal utility from all these products. So this is known as the law of equimarginal utility, and it is all about that. So when he buys several things with a given money income, he equalizes marginal utility of such things. Okay, the law of equimarginal utility is extension of diminishing marginal utility law. So this law states that the marginal utility of different commodities at a particular time are proportional to prices paid. Okay, so how you shall make your marginal utility equal? Only when your marginal utility is equal to the proportional to the prices paid for them. Okay, so it has been explained in this figure. So this is marginal utility from product A divided by price of A. Okay, and that is always equal to marginal utility of item B divided by prices of B, and this is always equal to marginal utility of product C divided by prices of C, and it's so on. Like marginal utility of D, prices of D, then E, it can be anything, and this list do not have any end, and it goes on further. So the law is called law of equimarginal utility because satisfaction is maximized by making marginal utility of money equal in all uses to which the limited money income is put. So in this way, you can understand that when a consumer purchases different products and he purchases in a way that he gets the equal marginal utility from all the different items. So that kind of situation is known as equimarginal position, and that law is known as equimarginal utility. So and after that, what you have to understand further in this lecture, and this is just that marginal utility is equal to is proportional to the prices of prices paid for a specific commodity, and I have explained you in this specific picture or figure. So if we are making the conclusion or crux of this specific lecture, I can simply say you that utility is the want satisfying power of a commodity. Okay, when you eat something, you get satisfaction. Okay, and that satisfaction is known as utility. And when you consume more and more, you get more and more satisfaction. And if you make sum of all these satisfaction, that comes to be your total utility. And when you eat the second one, you get the total utility in total from the two unit consumption. And when you reduce the value of a first unit consumed, total utility of a first unit consumed from the total utility of both the two commodities consumed, that utility shall be known as your marginal utility. So marginal utility is the additional utility derived from consumption of one more unit of a given commodity. And after that, I have taught you this table, and after this table, I taught you this specific picture. Okay, that depicts the relationship between total utility and marginal utility. So total utility is utility which you derive by consuming more and more units. So first of all, it goes on increasing at diminishing rate. That means the marginal utility is decreasing. After a specific point, it comes to the maximum or stagnant level. At this point, the marginal utility is zero, and after that it starts diminishing. Then the marginal utility is negative, and this is all about that. This is also the law of diminishing marginal utility, that tells you that when you eat more and more unit of a commodity, your marginal utility goes on diminishing. And finally, we have learned regarding law of equi-marginal utility, which tells you that a consumer tries to spend a limited income on different things in a way that marginal utility is of all the things are equal. So it is all about that, and I hope you would have enjoyed it a lot. Basically, 4 questions we have answered in this lecture, and we have explained in a way that upcoming lectures are easy for you right now. So you have understood regarding demand, then demand function, law of demand, then elasticity of demand, and it's all 3 types we have gone through. Then this was the 4th lecture, I think, for the economics, and that was regarding utility analysis. That was cardinal utility analysis. The name cardinal being we have been used just for the reason that utility can be represented in a numerical terms. So in this way, I feel that you would have understood that. Regarding the next lecture, we shall be intimating you as soon as possible, and next lecture shall be going to be regarding indifference curve, I think. All right, thank you so much. This is Gurpal Singh from Gurpal Education.